Morning, Alexios, Raptor Freak here. Monday morning, Raptors beat the Wizards last night in a great game at Scotiabank Arena. We're really helping our home record round so far on this homestand pretty good. I mean, I guess we lost 2 games first, and now we've won 2 games in this homestand, but still, we got some easier games coming up, some games that won't be as difficult as some of the ones we've had. To try and get our home record even better by the time we leave Toronto again to go on the road again. Washington is an interesting team. They've started really strong and they've been really good for most of the beginning of the season so far, but they're really kind of coming down to earth. And this is kind of what I've been predicting since the beginning when I first saw them the first night of the season and how they killed us and they beat us so bad. I didn't believe in them then, and I still don't believe in them. And what happened last night was we played a super great defense, but both teams weren't really shooting that well in the first quarter, but it didn't matter. We ended up doubling them up in the first quarter. They only scored 12 points, and that's a huge accomplishment. To hold any team in the NBA to 12 points for a quarter is a huge accomplishment, especially a team like Washington that's been a real offensive team in a lot of different ways with different shooters and some good big guys. Holding them to 12 points in the first quarter was fantastic. And I didn't really like the 40-point second quarter for them, but it is what it is. We kept the lead the whole game. We kept it in double digits the whole time. And that's not easy to do, to hold off a team like that. And we did a really good job of it last night. Good morning, Kenny. Our defense was great. And, there were only a few lapses here and there, really small ones, but the rotations looked really good and just looked like we were totally stifling the Wizards' offense. Like everything they tried to do last night looked really difficult and hard. And there only were 2 players on their team that got in double digits. And, of course, KCP went crazy. But it was kind of like one of these games where we really took care of Beal and their big guys. And I really love how we handled Montrezl Harrell last night. He didn't look anything like that first game of the season where he just destroyed us. Or even in the second game when we beat him in the second game in Washington. We kind of couldn't control him then. But last night, we really controlled him well. And in some ways, we made him look kind of like a punk. Because, like, at one point, he was on the ground. And, we were just doing a really good job on him and Gafford. Gafford got in foul trouble early, which was really a good thing for us. Because that allowed us to not have to worry about him so much around the paint, blocking shots, things like that. So just a really good once you start building good offense and good defense together, good things happen. And the defense was just so sound. The rotations, everybody was talking to each other. They were rotating. Nobody got any easy shots for Washington for the most part. And then the really great thing was they really limited the second chance points. Like they really made it a key last night. You could tell. And Precious was doing a great job getting a lot of rebounds. He ended up with a double-double last night. And a lot of that was just taking care of the defensive possession and ending it by getting 2 hands on the ball and stabilizing the ball for us in possession. And that's not always easy. In today's NBA, there's a lot of coming up behind and trying to steal the ball once you get the rebound or slapping it out of your hands immediately. So securing the defensive rebound and ending the offensive possession for the other team is so crucial. And I really only counted 2 or 3 second chance points last night. And some of them were late. So we really, really didn't let them get on the boards and put anything back or get another chance. We really limited it to just 1 shot per possession for Washington. And it showed in our team stats. We got way more shots than them. We outshot them. We've got way more points in the paint than them. We out-rebounded them. We beat them in a lot of categories last night. And that's indicative of us just outworking them, outplaying them, playing super tight defense. And, our offense was really clicking in some ways too. I'm really enjoying seeing the synergy between Pascal and Scotty right now. Because what's happening is Pascal is really recognizing when the double team's coming and he's getting the ball out of there. He's not trying to force things. But then also when they're not coming to double him, he realizes when he has the mismatch and he really made them pay for it. Like he looked very dominant in the game last night. Like he could operate, do whatever he wanted in the game, and there wasn't a damn thing they could do to stop him. Like it's amazing when Pascal looks like that. And this isn't always. Sometimes if the team is really like a top tier team and they have good defenders too, they can make Pascal look bad. But when the other team can't handle Pascal and he can just operate like the way he was last night, he looks unstoppable. And I hope that all the Pascal Siakam haters saw what he was doing last night and realized that there is a certain separation with him from the rest of the NBA in some ways, where he is that special kind of player that can dominate, that can just take over a game and score a lot of points and be the best player on the court. Because that's what he was last night. The best player on the court. Bradley Beal was not the best player on the court. That's for damn sure. And Pascal Siakam really rose to the occasion. And it's interesting, too, because once again, Fred didn't do a whole lot in the beginning of the game. He was really kind of facilitating and just kind of getting the tempo right for the Raptors and maybe being more of a leader on the defensive end. But he really didn't. Fred had a little bit of a quiet night offensively. And in the first half, I was saying, well, Fred's going to have a big second half. Because I've noticed that's kind of what Fred is doing right now. He's kind of coasting in the beginning of the game in the first half. He's kind of getting guys involved. He's passing the ball around. He's kind of trying to control the tempo of how the game's going. And he's more concentrating on making sure that defense is solid on one end. So, and then in the second half, he starts to open up his offensive game as needed. And the interesting thing was last night, it wasn't really as needed last night, because we kept a good margin the whole time through the second half. They tried to come back a couple times, but we let them into as close as 10 points maybe. But for the most part, we had a good 15 to 12 point cushion. And that was really, really good because Fred didn't have to overwork and Fred didn't have to play a lot of minutes. I think he only ended up with 33 minutes last night, which is way under what it was his second least amount of minutes for a game all season. So that's really good that we didn't have our bench was really contributing last night, and they looked really good, didn't they? Like Chris Boucher, for all the three-pointers he's not making, boy, is he good around the basket. Like some of those lay-ins were like little twist arounds and going around the guy this way, and like he made them all. And he got a good point total off the bench last night. And this is what we've been crying out for him to do off the bench for us, is to be productive, to look good, to look engaged, to look active, and to go from the start. Because some of the times we brought him off the bench this year, he's kind of eased in the game, kind of taken his time and tried to like let the game come to him. But no, we need Chris to continue to do these cuts. And I love what he said in the press conference after the game, where he's like, I was concentrating on the three so much that I forgot about all the cutting and the different things I used to do near the basket and how unstoppable he was there. Because really, when he was playing in 905, he was like a really good guy down near the basket. He just dominated the G League because he scored a lot near the basket. And the three-point shot is really something that kind of developed last year more and more. And I think he started leaning on it a little too much. Like it's something that's going to come back and be an important weapon for him in the future this year. I really believe it. But if he could really, really concentrate on being near the basket and cutting and getting close and getting offensive rebounds and putbacks and stuff like that, he's gonna get a lot more minutes. Because right now, last night, he looked like Yuta Watanabe kind of energy and going all over the place and just doing the right things. And Yuta, once again, looked great too. He hit a couple of shots. He was very active. He was a big part of the bench not allowing a defensive drop-off. Because once the bench comes in, you think, oh, man, this team is not as good. But no, we can do just as well on defense with stifling them with length and quickness and strength, with guys like Yuta and Chris coming off the bench. And they looked great. Our bench really scored a lot of points last night, a lot more than they have been. And that really helped. That took a lot of pressure off of Pascal and Fred and the other guys, the starting lineup. Now, I want to talk a little bit about Scotty Barnes last night. Scotty, he had kind of a quiet night in some ways, but in some ways he was really big and important. He shot 50% again. That seems to be his MO. 5 for 10. He didn't make any of his threes, but he did get 6 rebounds, and he only got an assist and a block. and 11 points. But Scotty got some key points at really important times. And some of his shots that he made were really telling of what the future is for him, that he can just back guys down and get as close as he wants to the basket and make really high percentage shots. That's something he's going to do more of. And I just love his work around the basket right now. He really, really makes me think he looks like Kawhi, because the way he can get so close and he can just kind of overpower guys close to the basket, shoot right over them, just put the ball over them, and it goes in. And that's fantastic, man. The more that Scotty looks like Kawhi, that's good. Kenny says the bench played well for us. That is really true. Let's just look a little bit more at him. Let's dig a little deeper. I just talked about Boucher with 14 points on 5 of 7 shooting, 6 rebounds. Watanabe, 7 points, 3 of 6 shooting, 2 rebounds. But then you get into guys like Banton. Banton played really well last night. He had 6 assists, and Nick Nurse was super happy with that. He did hit a 3, and he got a steal, 5 points. He didn't do bad. And Svi was playing better too in some ways also. He got 4 rebounds, 5 points. He hit a 3, which was important. He hit one of his threes, because Svi's kind of been up and down and really kind of been annoying lately to me, because he gets open shots. He should just make them. But he's not totally automatic for 3 like I would like him to. He should be very automatic. He should be our automatic guy. Let's see what else with the bench. The other guys came in really late and got a little bit of time at the end. Champagne had a nice little shot at the end, kind of building off of his big performance at 9:05 on Saturday. And, then we got to see David Johnson got in for a couple minutes. Bonga got in. Malachi Flynn also. So Raptors had great bench production, which took a lot of pressure off of the starters. And the starters played really well together. Honestly, the synergy between guys like Precious, Pascal, Scotty, and Fred is really growing, and you can really tell. And Gary too, that these guys are really starting to learn each other and where they like the ball, and maybe how to set up a play for success. There was that one play that Pascal passed in to, I think it was to Precious or Scotty. I think it might have been Scotty, where he threw it to him in a really good, easy way for him to easily make the basket. And the announcers, Alvin and Matt, were saying that that's the kind of like seeing the game before the game kind of play, like being ahead of the game. And that's what great players are able to do when the game slows down and they're really able to make the right decision and that kind of thing. He saw 2 steps ahead and saw that guy could make the layup, and it was the right decision by Pascal. But what else was that I wanted to talk about with those guys in particular? There was a lineup in the game in the second half that I thought was amazing. It was like a positionless lineup, and I think it was Banton, Barnes, Pascal, Yuta, and Boucher. And that team was just so full of energy and length and just annoying the other team that I was like, man, this is a really good lineup. Like, if this is a combination that we're going to use, Banton, Barnes, Boucher, Yuta, and Pascal, that's a nasty lineup because they're all tall, they're all switchable, and that really was the positionless kind of lineup. And you could put Precious in there, and for one of them, you could there's a couple of different guys. They put Svi in for one of them and continued it for a little while, but that's the future. And it's nasty because this is the thing. These teams can't do anything against us on defense. If we're really clicking and we're communicating and we're switching and stuff like that, we can stop every team in this league from trying to score because it's just that kind of talent and just that kind of athleticism on our defense. So as we get better on offense, it's going to be nasty too. We're going to see all these crazy breaks with Pascal and Scotty and people like that on the break, and they're just going to be lobbing and throwing different things and all kinds of stuff. We're going to see more and more of this. And we did see another Precious, ferocious lob from Fred, which was fantastic. I love that. We get that one time a game. That'd be fun. And just the synergy is growing. You can tell that we're getting to a positive place with our offense, that it's getting easier in some ways, that Nick has gotten the right kind of screens and plays together to free our guys up from being totally like covered by other teams. And it's really helping. And we're killing teams because of it. We're getting really good open looks. And you know what? We're also getting really easy shots too by this way, because part of it is with mismatches, and part of it is also getting closer to the basket. So I'm really excited about this team right now. I think that most Raptor fans should be super enthusiastic about what we're seeing, because honestly, like, if you think about a team when they develop, they really start from the bottom, like scraping the bottom of the barrel. And we didn't have to go that low. Like, if our scraping the bottom of the barrel is the trouble that we've had recently with wins and having a losing record for a little bit of time now, that's fine, because we're on our way up already right now. Like, we're gonna have bad games where we don't look like we fit together and we don't play well, because there's still gonna be off days. But more and more is gonna look like we fit really well together as the guys get more comfortable and they really enjoy this more and more, because you can tell there's a lot of pleasure and fun in playing for the Raptors and playing together. Because part of it is these guys have all been the top dog and best players on their teams, whether it's in university, high school, different places. And now they kind of get to play alongside guys that have similar level or equal kind of talent. When you got OG, Pascal, Scotty, Precious, these guys get more of a trust in each other and more of an understanding. And then as they grow together and understand the intricacies and the very subtle differences in things that they like to do, they're going to capitalize on that. They're going to maximize that. They're going to show it with the talent level on the court. Like, it's going to be nasty, because there's a certain level of talent in different areas for different players of versatility, that it's going to be a really nasty thing when it really starts clicking, and man, we're going to be really hard to beat. And I really believe a lot of it's going to have to do with our defense being like it was in the first half, in the first quarter last night. It's just stifling. There's nothing they could do. They shot so badly, and we just bothered everything they tried to do, and we were everywhere. And they did not have a fun time in Toronto last night, the Washington Wizards. Oh, no, they did it. No, they did not. So, all right, just a little house cleaning. Kem and OG are still on the injury report. I'm sure we won't hear anything substantial about them until either later today or tomorrow, because they're not playing again until Wednesday. So tomorrow I'm going to do Raptor Freak trivia again. It'll be the 5th game. 9:05 are playing today at 11 a.m. They're playing in like 2 hours, guys, which is so weird. They're playing in the Air Canada or Scotiabank Arena for the fans, so people can come down there and watch them play today in the big arena at 11 a.m. And they're saying that Banton and Champagny and Johnson and Bonga will all be playing for the 9:05 today. So if you want to see more Delano Banton, that's a really easy, fun way. Watch him at 11 a.m. this morning, because you do get to see Delano do a lot more in that kind of setting, where he kind of has to be maybe the guy who takes over the game and tries to win the game and stuff like that. And we got beat real bad by the Go-Go on Saturday, so we got some payback we want to try and get against them. I'm sure Coach Mutombo is not happy with this slide that the 905 are on. They've lost like 4 or 5 games in a row, and that's not good. They got to start righting the ship, because their whole motto and way they carry themselves is just win, baby. They're all about winning in 905, and they're not doing that right now. So it's kind of tough. Just an early injury report for Oklahoma City, who were playing on Wednesday, is Shea is still out, but he's not playing tonight. But I don't know if he'll be back for Wednesday. We'll have to see if SGA is actually going to play against us. I'm a fun guy. My guy, yeah. Wasn't that a fun game last night? It was so much fun to see the team play at a high level and take care of business in a major way and hold a top Eastern Conference team off. Alvin said it in the broadcast last night. He doesn't believe in the Wizards. I don't believe in the Wizards. I think by the end of the year, we're going to see that they're a pretender and not a contender, and that they'll be sitting somewhere in the play-in. And who knows if they even get through the play-in to get into the playoffs. We'll see. But Washington has a lot of problems in some ways. And it was KCP that was killing us last night. That was the weird thing. That was KCP. He's kind of the one who slipped through the cracks and got hot and was finding his shot. And the only one really carrying them, they only had 2 guys in double digits. And one of them had only 14 points, and that was Bradley Beal. And 26 for KCP, and that's it, man. That team was having a hard time doing anything against the Raptors last night, the Wizards. I'm a fun guy. I watched the trivia. I would have won first. Well, hey, listen, the trivia will be, it's always the same. It's 9:30 Eastern time on the second day of 2 days off for the Raptors. That's where you can figure out where the trivia days are, is if we have 2 days off between games and I don't get to do a reaction or a preview. So the day like that is trivia. So tomorrow will be a trivia game. I'm not going to tell you the category. I've already thought of it. I'm going to do the research and set it up today. But yeah, 9:30 Eastern, sharp. Oh yeah, I ain't messing around. Fun guy, you show up. You can get on the board and start trying to come after Steve Sleeve, our champion right now. He's nasty. Steve Sleeve's got 96 points. He's got a lot of points. Delano with 6 assists. That was nice to see. MK, good morning, man. Yeah, that's Delano's 6 assists. That was actually something that Nick Nurse mentioned in the press conference after the game. He was really happy with Delano distributing the ball and the way he was seeing the court. And you know what else he did? He was really battling for rebounds down low and showing good length on defense, really bothering them on defense. And, I don't know if he got a block shot or something, but it seemed like he got a block shot. No, he didn't get a block, but he got a steal. But, that's really good. Yeah, Kenny, I think Delano is playing in 3 hours. Yeah, he's playing at 11 a.m. Eastern time here in Toronto in the big arena. They're not in Mississauga. They're going to play in the Scotiabank Arena today. Yeah, it'd be kind of weird to go to that game so early. I wonder how many people will actually go to it. But like I said, they have some payback to give to the Go-Go. They really need to win this one today because they've been losing way too much. And, we got all the guys are going to be there. Bonga, Champagne, Johnson, and Banton. So, and maybe even Flynn. That'd be interesting if Flint's supposed to be going to 905 this week and playing for them a little bit this week. That's what I'm hearing. I'm a fun guy. Our defense has returned and gotten even better with Siakam. Yeah, I think these last 2 days before the Washington game on Friday and Saturday, that's what Boucher said, that's all they did in practice, is really practice their defense, like going over it all day and just figuring it completely out. And it really showed. And the funny thing is, once they get their defense going, it really is true. Their offense looks way better because they get easier opportunities in transition and stuff like that. But man, wasn't it nice to see Pascal operate last night? Like the way he was just taking control of the game. He was the man. He was the best player on the court. He was the guy that they couldn't stop no matter what. And it just makes me think more and more about when we get OG back healthy and we have Scotty more and more developed and comfortable in what he's trying to do offensively, they're not going to know who to guard. They're not going to be able to guard all of our guys effectively. And we're always going to be able to capitalize on some sort of mismatch because these guys will play together and they're so deadly, like in different ways. Like you can't not try and double OG in some ways. You can't not try and double Pascal in some ways. And it's going to be that way for Scotty very soon too. And that's the thing that's nasty about us, is that they're not going to know who to guard. And sometimes you can just key on a guy on another team. Like, sure, yeah, you go after LeBron. Oh, yeah, sure, you go after Trae Young. But this triple threat and even maybe quadruple or quintuple threat with Fred and Precious is nasty. Because these guys are going to take over games. One of them will take over. And sometimes you're just not going to know which one. It's going to be that hard for other teams. It's going to be really nasty. And it's true. It's a good point to bring up Siakam as an addition to that defense on that. And it was just kind of figuring out the wrinkles of fitting them in with everybody and some of the growing pains on this road trip. And him not exactly working well yet. But now it seems like it's clicking. And their defense didn't look bad very often last night. There were a lot of 24-second shot clocks running out and things like that. I love that. All right, let's see. MK finally winning some home games. Oh, my gosh, yes. And the thing I loved about last night was, first of all, we had a really good effort in the first quarter. So there was no way that the Washington Wizards could take our crowd out of the game right at the beginning. And that's been a problem with our home crowd. They get taken out of the game by the other team, getting a lead on us early or doing some really stuff to us. And everybody's like, oh, they're going to lose. But because we had the lead most of the game, the crowd were able to be loud and keep engaged in the game. and not get turned off by it because we're losing or looking bad or anything like that. And that was fantastic. That was a really good accomplishment. And we really do need to build this home mentality of protecting our house and, getting that all back, because we did lose it. It's really strange how we go to Tampa for 1 year and we come back, and it's something we have to reacquire and learn all over again, how to play at home in Toronto and have the crowd behind us correctly. And they did a fantastic job last night, especially holding a team to 12 points in a quarter and right off the start of the game is really tough to do. And kudos to them. Like, we really made Washington look bad with their shots last night. It was fun. It was a lot of fun. I'm a fun guy. The only problem is still there. Who will go to the bench? Man, if that's our only problem, that's a fantastic only problem to have. I still think that it's smart to just put Scotty there. Just do it, Nick. The season's the long season. He's already kind of hit a couple of rookie walls where he just seems tired or things like that. It'll just help so many different things because he's the kind of glue guy. This is what I was wanting to say about Scotty last night. He was a glue guy last night. He was just kind of the guy that needed to be there to get rebounds or play really good defense at different places and score here and there for as we needed. And I want him to be more aggressive scoring. He wasn't really finding the ball very often. The ball wasn't going through him enough maybe in the game last night. Like, I'd like him to be kind of a focal point at the top of the key where they pass the ball to him. He makes some decision to either score or pass it to somebody else. But it's just he's finding kind of, I don't know. I think this may be part of the conditioning, part of being tired in the NBA season. So it just makes sense. Put Scotty on the bench when OG comes back, Nick. You've got to do it. Don't put Gary on there. Put Scotty on there because it'll help his game. It'll help his season as it goes on. He's going to get more tired as this long season goes. And it'll help our bench so much with the production. It just makes so much sense to me. And it's not a big deal. He started a whole bunch of his rookie season already. It's not a big deal if he comes off the bench. And obviously the NBA is giving him a slight when they're considering NBA rookie awards anyway. If they're going to give Mobley the award last week. That was such bullshit, by the way. Boucher deserves to be talked about. Oh, yeah, MK, I'm glad you brought him up. I was talking a little bit about him earlier. He said in the press conference afterwards, he's so funny with some of the ways he's so matter of fact and just like no bullshit. He's like, yeah, I maybe was working on my three or relying on my three too much. And I forgot that I could do all this cutting and close to the basket stuff that I'm really good at. And I got away from it too much, maybe at the beginning of the season. And so he's kind of going back to the basics. I was saying from when his 905 days, when he really dominated the 905 league that 1 year, when he was MVP of the whole league and defensive player of the whole league. And a lot of the stuff that he did that year in 905 was really close to the basket. And it was a lot of those kind of lay-ins, twisting around, laying it in reverse kind of stuff that he was doing last night. And that's totally awesome. We don't need him to hit these Trey Boucher home run 3-point shots like all the time. But that's going to find itself through confidence again. If he gets confidence near the basket, whether it's like blocking shots or putting shots back, rebounding, getting lay-ins, cuts, stuff like he was doing last night. And then also he'll feel good one day and he'll pop one of those threes and then they'll just start going in. That's how it's going to happen. So maybe if he's not really focused on making threes or shooting threes so much and he just does what he did last night, he's going to find regular rotation all the time. And he's going to look good because he really did. And the other thing that they did last night that was so interesting and cool was that him and Pascal were getting to the line. And normally we don't draw fouls on the other team. We're not aggressive enough going towards the basket. And we did a good job of that last night. And I love to see these guys finally get to the line. That the referees were actually giving them foul shots and calling them. And, Chris missed a lot of foul shots, but at least he was getting the line. Him and Pascal were getting free throw attempts. And that was really good. And I credit Doogie Howser's dad. He's that one ref that looks like Doogie Howser's dad from the TV show. He was a good ref last night. I was a little worried about the crew last night, but they weren't bad. They were pretty good overall. And obviously they didn't affect the outcome of the game. So click 2 a.m. I like how Fred is finding the balance between scoring and playmaking. He knows when to be aggressive and when to keep feeding his teammates. I really think that what Fred's doing is in the beginning of the game, he's not trying to take his own shot at all. Like you see in the first half, he's not scoring hardly anything. And he's has these games where he doesn't no points at halftime, but he may have a lot of assists. And it's just about like getting the flow of the game and the tempo that they want to control and finding his teammates and getting them involved and getting them started. And then I think he saves himself for the second half. And then he really kind of puts all of his effort out as needed to score, to keep us going, to maybe make a push, to get the lead, or to continue to keep the lead late in the game. Like if Washington had started putting more pressure on us, I would have probably seen Fred rise to the occasion and start shooting more threes and trying to put his will on the game more. But he didn't have to last night. And in ways, that's good. That if Fred isn't scoring a whole lot and like a game last night, that means that we didn't have to rely on him so much. And that's really good because we need to keep him fresh in certain ways. And I really think that's what he's doing, because it seems like in the last couple of games, he just doesn't do anything in the first half. But then in the second, he turns it on if we need him. And I like that. That's kind of a good strategy because he's very effective in the first half still, even if he doesn't score. He's just effective at, like I was saying earlier, he's leading the defense. And that was a big part of what happened in the first half last night. And then he's finding guys and getting them involved, like that precious lob and that dunk. That's huge. So, yeah, Fred is doing a great job on the down low with all kinds of different things. But the dumb Raptor fan, the fan that's just kind of like looks at stats and worries about how much they score, is probably talking shit about Fred today and say, well, why didn't he get more points or something like that? And it's like, you know what? Fred got 10 points. So what? He got 10 points. So what? He did great. He had a good game. All right, MK, Yuta has also been giving us good minutes. Oh, hasn't he? He's come in. He's been a burst of energy. He's all out. He's all out all minutes and seconds he's on the court. He's infectious. It rubs off on other guys like Scotty and Precious. They play more up because he's around there doing that, and they don't want to get looked at like, why are you so lazy compared to Yuta? So he sets a standard. And he really brings some of the best things out of this team. I love that. I love that because sometimes it's not about being an overpowering scorer. Sometimes it's not about being the best player on the court. It's about being the hardest worker on the court. And that really inspires a lot of different people. And I love that he's hitting his shots mostly. When he hits a big shot in the game, it really makes the crowd go crazy. And not only the crowd, the bench. The Raptors bench loves seeing Yuta succeed. And they get crazy and inspired too. So it just builds. It's a domino effect. And I love that. I love that. Yuta is such an important player to this team. He really is. Alistair, good morning, man. That's number 2 in the trivia. Tomorrow morning, Alistair, 9:30 Eastern sharp, playing Raptors Freak Trivia number 5 tomorrow morning. So be ready. After 24 games, we are finally putting it all together without center depth. Yeah. We don't have Kim. We don't have OG. These guys are both great defensive players. They're both great rebounders. They're going to just add more to the mix. And we're going to, we're finding our legs. This beginning of this season has been finding our legs, that we've been wobbly because we're not totally ready. But these are super crazy cyborgs, futuristic legs that when we really understand how to use them and work with them, running around and doing whatever while we're wearing them, we're going to be nasty. Nobody's going to be able to mess with us. It's just really was finding the legs and testing them out and trying them out. Whoa. And then all of a sudden it's walking like RoboCop, and then boom, shooting people's nuts off like RoboCop. I know it's going to be nasty when we get this going. Oh yeah. We got new futuristic cyborg legs. We're just trying to figure them out. We got to learn how to walk in them, and we're doing it. It's coming quick. That's the thing. This is happening quick. This development stuff for us this year could happen really quick. And in some ways, I still believe we could win a championship this year. If we really get our shit together and we figure things out by the end of the year and we get in the playoffs and we can stop anyone, why not? I mean, this is the stuff I was thinking was going to happen at the beginning of the season. It's just got delayed because we had to go through these growing pains. We had to go through these rookie growing pains, learning losses on the road, losses at home, how bad it feels. And then you go, all of a sudden, they're something clicks just right, and the team's just nasty. And I think I see it happening. It's starting to happen. It really is. Let's keep going. MK, Precious outplayed the Wizards bigs. He really did. Gafford got in foul trouble early. Like, all right, the first play of the game, that jump ball. Have you ever seen a ref give somebody a foul off the jump ball like that? That was so messed up. And I was like, man, I hope this isn't setting the tone. Because right off the bat, they're trying to put a foul on our only center, our only big guy in the game. Gets a foul at 0 minutes into the game. I was like, are they going to try and saddle him with fouls so we don't have Precious in the game? That's what I was thinking right away. But no, actually, what happened was right after that, Gafford got some quick fouls, and he had to be taken out of the game 5 minutes in the game. And that really worked out in some ways. And then I was kind of talking about how we handled Harrell earlier. It was way better than the first 2 games we played them. The first game, he really killed us. And the second game, he was one of the things that killed us in that game that we won in Washington still. But he was like one of the only bright spots. But last night, he was completely ineffective. We handled him last night. I don't know how they did that because they made Montrezl Harrell look like a totally different player than the first 2 times we played him, because he kind of dominated us the first 2 games really, really well, but he didn't do any of that last night. In fact, he looked like kind of a little boy at sometimes. Not going to say little boy, but a little sissy kind of guy, because he was laying on the ground at some times. And like we took care of Montrezl last night better than we've had all season. And that's really, really good. Because, like, you know, he is an attitude, and he's a really good weapon for him. And he's been killing other teams. Like, if he gets going, he just, like, messes other teams up and, like, makes the other team lose somehow, some way. But we handled him last night. I was really proud of that. And that really was, a lot of that was Precious, MK's saying right there, that he just did a really good job on him. And we didn't have a Montrezl Harrell factor involved in the game last night like we had before. It was really good. Chriscom, good morning, man. When OG comes back, we're set. We don't need him against OKC, that's for sure. I hope he's back for New York after getting this career high on them earlier this year. Ooh, yeah, that's a good point, Chriscom, about OG against New York earlier this season. And I think you're right that Oklahoma City, although we can't take them lightly, that, you know, I'm looking at their team and they're really young. They're really young like us, but in some ways they have no experience like we do. We have experience and we're young. It's really kind of a weird hybrid that, you know, we're one of the youngest teams in the league now that Goran's left, but we still are kind of like a playoff mentality team already, just because of our personnel and our young leaders like Fred and Precious and Pascal and OG. That these guys are not the typical 26, 27-year-olds in the NBA. These guys have won championships and they know how to win. So it's going to be fun. I like youngster games where it's like 2 young teams kind of going all out and a lot of energy and all that kind of stuff. But we need to really show our defense once again against Oklahoma City on Wednesday, hold them to limited points and just do a good job against them no matter what. We can't take them lightly, even though they just lost a game by like 70 points. That's insane. So it's going to be a fun game either way. I'm looking forward to seeing our younger guys hopefully get to play more. Like, we may see more of the bench on Wednesday against Oklahoma City Thunder, and that could be really interesting. Like seeing more Banton against guys like, you know, they have on their team like Dort and stuff like that. Let's see. Where are we? Chriscom. Oh, yeah, I read that one just now. Gee, Precious is definitely looking more confident. Yeah. He said he posted something last night. I just saw it on the Instagram saying, never lose your essence. And it's a picture of him, you know, those pictures when they're coming in the arena and they're all fashion plated out and wearing their clothes and stuff like that. He's got like a thing covering his whole face and like he has his glasses on or something like that. And it's like something over his head. You can barely see him. And it says never loses your essence. I thought it was hilarious. But yeah, Precious has a new Open Gym episode out. It's so good. I'll put it in the comments if you guys haven't found it or seen it. I know most of y'all probably already seen it, but wasn't that part where they did the bag of milk thing again with him? And he was really funny on it because, like, you know, the thing is with the bag of milk, if you've never dealt with the bag of milk, then you don't know how like awkward that can be and how much of a haphazard that can be if you're coming into it as an adult and you've never had to deal with it. You could get milk all over the place. But Precious handled it really well. And I love the little, like, talking about the little clip to open the bag on the fridge. I don't know. Go watch the Open Gym with Precious that's out this week. It's really, really good. Once again, Open Gym's just fantastic. All right, let's keep going. Sue, good morning. Yes, what a great showing. They took care of business. I love that we're up 2-1 over Washington in the season series. And we made them look more and more like the pretender team that they are. Because in a lot of ways, this team is not built to last. Bradley Beal's going to get grumpy at some point. You know, some of the personalities on this team are really weird. And then you have a rookie head coach in Wes Unseld Jr., who's having his own issues to deal with, whether it's battling for respect or from the refs, for the rest of the league, or from even his own players. So Washington is good right now, and they're doing some good things, but I don't think it's going to last. I really don't. Sue, I was worried about how the game was going to go after that foul off the tip, but we really showed up on both ends. Yeah, that foul on it's something you just don't ever see. It's like very dumb. It's like, why did you do that? Why you call that? Like, it's like right off the bat, you're giving us a foul. You're putting a foul on our only center. I was really worried that was going to set the tone, but the refs were pretty good last night. Like, we were getting to the line, which is really good. Like, if Pascal and Chris hadn't been getting to the line so much, I would have been pissed off. But they were doing a good job of trying to call it fair. Alistair, honestly, if we get a center, consistent defensive and bench production, we can beat Golden State. Oh, yeah. I think we can beat anybody in this league on any given night if we're clicking. Like, if we're really clicking on defense and our offense is coming to us in easier ways than we don't have to work too hard, we can beat any team in this league. Milwaukee was no slouch. People are trying to discount that win against Milwaukee the other night, but that was a big deal. And this Washington team is a top 5 team in the East right now. Like, they have a lot of wins, and they've been beating a lot of teams, and we handled them really nice. Really, really nice. So this is the thing. It's like buoyancy in water. Things go down, but come back up and, go back down, up and down. We're a little bit under the water where we shouldn't be, but we're going to bounce right back up. And I really do see us like the way that they do the standings in the NBA now because of the play-in games is you've got that top 6 solid playoff teams. Then you got the 4 in the bubble, that are in the playoff play-in, and then you got 5 out. And right now we're sitting in the 5 that are out. But I really see us rising through the play-in 4 and getting into that top 6 by the end of the year. That we're not going to be even in the playoff 4, the play-in 4. We're going to get into the 6 locked in. And I'm excited about seeing this journey to get up there and the way we're going to power through teams, shut them down, and get to that spot. We're going to get a real playoff spot. We're not going to be in the play-in. I really believe that. I'm seeing it. Solja T1. G, good morning. Good morning, man. Glad to see you here, man. I'm here every morning live streaming, talking about daily Raptor stuff, sometime between 8 a.m. and 11 a.m. Eastern time, every morning, man. So please come and join us every day. You can get your Raptor fix here, talking about whatever. If you write something on here, I will read it, even if it's crazy. I'll try not to read things that are too derogatory or too peppered with, words that may get me in trouble on YouTube, but most part, I'll read anything here. Gee, yep, they're talking shit about Fred. He cares more about winning than his stats. Other players were on fire, and he fed the hot hands. Yeah, Fred did exactly what he was supposed to do last night. So what? He got 10 points. So what? He didn't score anything in the first half. He showed up at the times and points when we needed him to. And honestly, there were good stretches of time where he didn't even have to be on the court last night. And I'm really happy about that because we've kind of needed him. He's kind of been essential. That's part of the reason why he's playing so many minutes and leading the league in minutes in the NBA right now is because we've needed him to steady the boat, to be that kind of captain, to, you guys are fucking around. You young guys, you're just kind of, you're learning, but I'm the guy who knows what I'm doing. And we need that guy who knows what he's doing out there. But we had a good period of time last night where he didn't have to play on the court. It was like the end of the third quarter and the beginning of the fourth quarter last night. And Fred got a nice, good rest in the second half so that in the fourth quarter, at the end of the fourth quarter, if we had needed him to hold off the Washington Wizards, he was fresh. and he would have been able to step up and take that call, but we didn't need him. So all these Raptor fans that are dissing him today, they don't understand what's going on at all. They're just looking at the stat sheet the next day and they're saying, oh, Fred sucked. He only got 10 points. You idiots. You don't even understand basketball. That man led this team to a win, and that's all that matters. I don't give a shit how many points he got. He got 10 points. That's great. We won. It's crazy. Sue, we talked everyone out of the game except KCP, and that is just fine. Yeah, he was the one who slipped through the cracks, and I'll take that because he's a streak shooter. And, he was on last night. But there's so many different games where KCP is just not hitting his shot, or he just doesn't look like that. And he was just the one who fell through the cracks. I'd much rather tie up Bradley. I'd much rather make sure the bigs aren't going off on us and let KCP get his. That's fine. And it was okay. He was actually kind of getting through broken plays. He did a really good job to find his shot and get open. He nailed them when he had them. And he was really the only one. All the rest of them couldn't hit broadside of a barn. It was really awesome. I loved watching them miss all their shots, whether Kuzma, Bertans, Beal, all those guys were missing last night. It was great. Barnes smothered and bothered Beal. Yeah, I think this was one of those things where Scotty said, put me on Beal again. Like he wanted to be on Middleton the other day, and he's like, yeah, let me guard Beal. I love guarding Beal. I take the challenge. And honestly, Beal is so overrated to me. Like he's the name that certain Raptor fans keep bringing up. Oh, if we just had Bradley Beal on our team, we'd be so much better. What? Are you crazy? You think that Bradley Beal will make us better just because he can shoot? Just because of who he was maybe 4 years ago? No, this is a different Bradley Beal. He's very weird Bradley Beal now because honestly, there's a certain amount of his fire that's been dimmed. That all the years of being in this lackluster Washington team and dealing with all the people coming in and out, whether it's John Wall, Russell Westbrook, different people like that, it's jaded him. And in some ways, he doesn't try as hard as he used to until he feels like it will matter. Then he won't try. He's just out there cruising around. He's just kind of playing. I know we play good defense on him, but honestly, he doesn't look like he's trying to me. And I don't want a guy like that on my team. Not to mention he's unvaxxed, I think. And, this may be the last time he's allowed to come to Canada for the rest of the year. If we have to play them in the playoffs and there's Canadian games here, he's not going to be allowed to play in them. So think about that. He won't be able to play against us in Canada because they're changing the rules in the new year. Nobody unvaxxed is allowed to enter the country. That we've changed the rules here because it's Omicron and all this stuff. Okay, Raptors finally used their length. They really did use their length to bother them. I love that running out at every shot. I love the way they were rotating. You really watch them on defense and the way that they're really moving and the way that they work together. And they really were talking to each other a lot more last night than they have been all season. That's a big key on defense, that when we had Mark and Serge, those guys were constantly talking. They were constantly pointing stuff out to other guys and making it easier for less experienced defensive players to do the right thing in the moment because they're helping them. And that's really kind of part of what we need to do with Fred and Pascal and OG. They need to be telling Scotty and Precious where they should be and helping them in the moment. And it happened last night. It clicked really well. I love it. MK, Precious used his off arm and pulled Gafford's arm to win the tip. It was a foul when I rewatched it. Okay. Yeah, but you know what? They don't call those often. Everybody does that kind of stuff all the time. It's just you don't never see the foul off the tip. It probably was a real foul. You're right. But it's just something that you don't normally see right off the bat of a game. Like, how often do they actually call that? I'm sure that other teams have done that to us. We've done it to them, stuff like that. But it was just a kind of a foreteller of like, is this game going to be like this? I'm like, oh, fuck. I hope these refs aren't going to be calling like this and putting us in trouble right away. But it didn't turn out that way. We really jumped all over them and really won the game with energy and hustle and stuff like that. And the refs had to give us calls because we were outworking them. And it was great. It was great. Sue, Fred is like Lowry. He doesn't care how many points he gets as long as team wins. Great team leader and player. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Fred understands what's important. And, honestly, he he shouldn't be one of our main offensive guys. He should be like the third or fourth option with this team that we have constructed right now. He should maybe even be the fifth option on sometimes on the court when you've got like Gary, Pascal, OG, and Scotty out there with them. Oh yeah, he's the fifth option in some ways. Let those other guys get the ball first, and he just gets the scraps or picks it up here and there when he needs to. And the other thing I like about it too is save Fred from having to go and sacrifice his body in the paint all the time. Like we didn't see him have to go all out and go into the lane and get hit and put on the floor too much last night, and we won still. That's fantastic because that'll add up over the season, him getting his bumps and bruises and banged around and all this kind of stuff. We don't need him to do that if he doesn't have to. So that's really good thing about it too. Adam Silver was with Masai for Giants of Africa. I wonder if the refs were in their best behavior because of that. That's hilarious, man. Yeah, I saw the footage of the Giants of Africa stuff, the stuff with Masai and the Nelson Mandela Day and all this kind of stuff. It's a huge thing. It's so important. And it's really cool that it came full circle this year with Precious being on our team and being a product of that whole thing. They were showing the pictures of Precious when he was 12 in Africa, when he went to the Giants of Africa camp, and he looked so young, and it really gave you perspective of like, that's where he was 10 years ago in 2011. And now this is where he is 10 years later. And it shows the power of that whole program and what Messiah is doing. And once again, I say he's a genius because honestly, he has favoritism from this program for players that may be coming here in the future. Like Precious was very happy to come to play for Messiah because of their relationship this last decade. They've known each other for quite a long time. So there's a lot of trust and things like that that you just can't buy in the NBA. Most players don't trust the GMs. They think that the GM is like could trade them at any time and stuff like that. And it's not like that with us. We're a family, and Precious was a part of the family before he even came here. So it was really easy for him to be in there. But yeah, that's a funny point about the refs and stuff like that. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they were trying to do that. I think that they really are trying to make it seem like they're being fair and stuff like that. And we need to realize that if we put out a good effort and play really strong every game, we can win every single game and not let the refs try and drag us down. But they will give us some bad calls because they think that nobody cares about the Raptors enough to get upset. But we'll start writing letters and emails like Sue did the last show. We'll get that email address and we'll start writing to Adam Silver if something funny goes on later this season. Oh, yeah. We'll put out the bat signal and we'll all start writing emails to Adam Silver's office about how bad the officiating is because Sue has set the trend. We're going to go there. Oh, yeah, we will when it happens. Okay, let's see. Ty T, good morning, man. Glad you're here again. Didn't think the refs were too horrible last night, but man, oh man, that foul call on GT. Oh yeah, I know which one you're talking about. The one in the corner where he was just kind of like this. And that was a stupid call. And you know what? That was a momentum call to help the Wizards because the Wizards were struggling, Bradley in particular. So why not put Bradley on the free throw line for 3 free throws to see if he can get going? But yeah, that was a messed up call. That was definitely a ref manipulation to try and jumpstart the Wizards offense and help them because it was in a crucial point in the game where they could actually have gone on a run and tried to catch up to us. But thank God none of that happened. But yeah, that was a cheesy foul. That could have been a challenge, honestly. But I don't think Nick didn't even use his challenge last night, I don't think. And he was maybe saving it for something else. But yeah, that was a bad foul. I'm glad you brought it up because that was something that I did want to talk about today, but I was going to forget. Criscombe, it's great that we won without the backcourt scoring too much. Take the night off, Fred and Gary. Yeah, we didn't really talk about Gary too much in this game, but he was there. He did some stuff. He hit 2 threes, but that's really all he did. He had 6 points. He didn't really do. Let's see what else he did, like stat wise. He had 4 rebounds, 3 assists, a steal. And that's it, and 2 threes. And he wasn't relied on so much. That's true. It really is good that we show balance in different ways and that we're not too reliant on certain people too much. Like Gary has been really important for our offense to keep going at times and not stagnate. But he's doing a good job of we're doing a good job overall as a team as like find an offense even when he's not necessarily being so focal in it. And I think that that's a really good point, that we won this game without needing Fred and Gary to be huge in this game. And that's not like most of the games so far this season, that one or two of those guys have had to be big time scorers for us. And it was really more the forwards. It was Pascal and Chris Boucher and, Yuta Watanabe, Precious, that were really doing it for us. So Ty T, man, if ever anything with Silver there, refs would likely call more fouls on his orders. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It could go either way. But I think they once again, they were really fair. And I called that one guy, the one ref, Doogie Howser's dad, because if you watch the old show Doogie Howser with Neil Patrick Harris from the 80s, where he's a child doctor prodigy, his dad looks just like that one ref, the guy that's kind of balding, the older ref that was the head ref last night. That's Doogie Howser's dad. So if I ever say Doogie Howser's dad, that's the ref I'm talking about. I don't know his name. I don't remember. All right, Starscream. Good morning, man. Long time no see, man. Glad to see you. Hey, just checking in. Happy you guys are getting it together. Remember, I said you guys are second best in division, in my opinion. Yeah, Starscream. Thanks, man. This is the Nets fan who's checked in with us a few times since the Brooklyn game. And he doesn't believe in the pretenders of Philadelphia. He doesn't believe in the pretenders of Washington. He knows what's up, and it's his team and our team and Milwaukee maybe. Even New York's kind of fallen off. It's interesting that New York isn't as scary as they were right at the beginning of the season now. And we're going to get them again this week. It's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah, Sue says we got to get writing. Well, let them give us a reason to write. We'll start writing the NBA head office about the referee and like en masse. All of us will start writing. It'll be hilarious. Alistair, I like how all guys are willing to take a backseat offensively when necessary. Yeah, it's good because different guys are going to have better matchups at different nights, a different energy, how they feel in their body from day to day. And, it's really just kind of paying attention to that. Maybe some of it comes easier than others. Like, I really hate how Fred and Pascal for most of the season so far have had to try to force their offensive games. Like when they start going down low and they're trying to do too much and they're getting doubled, trying to force through a double, not getting the foul, just looking awful, getting their shot blocked, whatever. Now they're trusting more in guys like Precious and Scotty and Gary around them. So maybe they feel like the load is a little bit lessened and they don't have to carry the team as much. And that's why the passing's so much better all of a sudden. There's more trust in between everybody. Like Gary's earned a lot of trust with his shot this year now. Precious is starting to earn more trust around the basket. Scotty's got a lot of trust in different ways with his offense. So it really is good balance. And this was one of the things going in the season that I knew was going to be great about this Raptor team, is that compared to a team like Brooklyn or Milwaukee, they're very top heavy with their talent. You lose one of these key guys at the top, like Giannis, and it really, really brings your team down. Whereas we lose somebody like OG, we've lost him for a couple weeks now. We can kind of make up for him in certain ways. Somebody else will step up and take the void that's happened with that. And that's the thing that's going to be tough for some of those other top teams, is if they miss anybody for any kind of extended period of time. Like Milwaukee loses Giannis for a period of time, they're going to be in trouble. So we're lucky that we have that balance in a lot of ways, because it'll help us in these kind of tough situations where people either get hurt or something happens, stuff like that. So Starscream, yeah, I don't understand how my Nets have to play 4 games in 5 nights for the second time this season, and meanwhile the Lakers have 2 games in the past 6 days. The games are really weirdly spaced out. Like this game we just had against Washington is in between like 2 days off before and 2 days off after. That's like, I mean, that's good because the team needs some rest after their West Coast road trip. But yeah, that sounds crazy to me that the Nets have to play 4 games in 5 nights, and the Lakers did that. And I've noticed the Celtics get these weird schedules where they get lots of time off before they have to play us, or there's a lot of weird stuff going on with the scheduling and things like that. I don't understand sometimes why they don't space games on the road off like out more. Like we had to play Utah and then go to play Sacramento the next night or something on this road trip that we just did. And I was like, well, there's other days. You could have put one day in between Utah and Sacramento instead of making us do this crazy, because it's a time zone travel and it's not that close, Utah to Sacramento in some ways. So I don't know. The schedule is weird. It's very weird. I haven't been paying attention to you guys as much since we only played you there, but I see that you guys have beat some big teams, key teams recently. I know didn't you guys just beat Chicago or something like that? But The Lakers have the easiest schedule. They also have the easiest life and the easiest way that they act, the easiest on everything. They're going to be easy to beat is what they're going to be, because these guys ain't trying. They're a bunch of old all-star Hall of Famers that are in the later stages of their career. And we've seen this Laker experiment before with Steve Nash and different people, and Shaq and Dwight Howard and Karl Malone and all these kind of things. We know what happens with this team. And we're already seeing it. They're in trouble. So they're not a contender. They're a pretender. We know the Lakers are pretenders. Starscream, I don't believe in the Bulls either, but I do know one thing. DeMar never seems to miss against us, even going back to his days on the Raptors. Yeah, DeMar, well, that was the whole fuck Brooklyn way back with Paul Pierce and all that kind of stuff, and DeMar and Kyle having to play you guys, and that one series, that 7-game series, that was awful. And, DeMar really earned his stripes and being the scorer and the player that he is through all the fire and different things he's had to go through and learning and stuff like that. And he really earned it. He's like advanced PhD, offensive player in the NBA, honestly. But, the Bulls are interesting because they've got these weapons. Vucevic is a good player. They're playing really well. DeMar and Levine off each other. I understand what you're saying. It'll be interesting to see. I like the Bulls in a lot of ways. I think that they are going to be one of the top teams still, but who knows? We'll see what they do in the playoffs. Vucevic is weird in the playoffs too. He doesn't do well in the playoffs for some reason. I don't understand why. The Raptors always seem to handle him really well, no matter what. But who knows? I mean, the Bulls, I'm not going to count them out. I think that they're more likely a contender than a pretender. But if you're seeing something different, Starscream, I'll respect it. Ty T, LeBron aging fast. They want to squeeze more time out of him. Yeah, well, I don't know if you squeeze more time out of him by having a whole bunch of old guys that are just like him, because that just makes it more tiring and stuff like that. If I were them, I wouldn't have a bunch of really young guys and I wouldn't have a bunch of really old guys. I'd have guys that are in their prime trying to play with them. That guys that kind of know what they're doing, that you don't have to wait on them to develop, but they're not so old like Carmelo and Russell and Dwight and DeAndre Jordan. And what is this team the Lakers have right now? I mean, really, come on, LeBron. I don't know. I just love to see the Lakers a trash fire on trash fire. That's what I like to see. They're a trash fire. That's great. Starscream, we lost because for some reason the NBA has decided we needed to play the Bulls twice on the second leg of a back-to-back. Yeah, it's real fishy with these back-to-backs who you get to have to play on the second night and stuff like that. It's tough. I mean, the schedules are weird. They're very weird. Honestly, I'd like to see how they do it, or the algorithm or stuff like that, because some of this stuff is really set up to favor certain teams for sure. Oh yeah, it's they figure out the Lakers and the Celtics schedules so that it's cushy for them, and then everybody else kind of gets laid in certain differing degrees of difficulty. And it seems like the Raptors usually get a really tough schedule. This road trip was absolutely horrendous for us at this point in the season, and I think they realized it. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Yeah, I remember that series. DeMar killed us. I think he missed 8 shots the whole series. Everything he shot went in. Yeah, man. Those old. I mean, there is a real rivalry. I did the trivia the other day, and the question was, what team have we played the most in the NBA playoffs in our whole history? And it's the Nets. The Nets. We've played you guys 17 times total in 3 different series, and we're 9-8 against y'all. We have a 1-game advantage, and it's mostly just because of this 4-game sweep we had in the bubble against you guys in the first round. Those 4 games put us over you guys for 9-8. So yeah, I was looking at all those stats and who's our biggest playoff rivals in the playoffs, and it's really you guys and Cleveland and Washington. These are the 3 teams we played the most. And of course, Cleveland owns us in the playoffs, but that was really because of LeBron. We're 2-12 against LeBron and the Cleveland Cavs in the playoffs because they put us out and they swept us a couple times too. So, all right, Ty T. Oh, I mean the NBA giving the easy schedule. Yeah. The NBA will help LeBron by giving him a coasting kind of schedule and stuff like that. There's all kinds of dumb little advantages that the Lakers get. They play in the same arena as the Clippers. So it's kind of like when the games are at Clippers, they're still at home. So it's Anyway, Ty T, Lakers roster construction is all LeBron. Oh, I love to see them shit in the bed like this too. Oh yeah, LeBron is the GM, Kawhi is the GM. These are the two GMs in LA, and we see the teams that are constructed by players what happens with them. It's like you get your buddies, fuck around, but you know what? There's nothing any serious about it. And like Laker fans need to just give up this year already, like because I don't see this team getting any better in any kind of way unless they do major things. Maybe they should trade us DeAndre Jordan or something like that for a bench guy on our team. I don't know, that something like that. But all these teams have all these centers and stuff like that. We don't have a center. I don't understand that. I still want to get a center. Starscream, true, but I have no hate for the Raptors. You guys play hard and don't have dirty players. Well, I guess Kyle kind of towed the line between dirty and fair. So honestly, we all have dirty players. There's dirtiness in our team too. We will do dirty things. Like Goran Dragic was a dirty player, but he's gone. He just left. Every player has the chance to become a dirty player at some point. But I appreciate the respect from a Nets fan for our team. I know we've had battle-tested warriors clashing over the years in different ways and different things and stuff like that. And honestly, I feel like the rivalry with the Nets is much more important than the rivalry with the Knicks in some ways. Like there is a rivalry with both you guys, but if we had to pick the New York City team that we think is really our more rival, it's probably the Nets. Yeah. Just because of the more of the history and like Masai with what he said. And, the Knicks were also early in our playoff history with Vince and things like that. And we kind of we got swept by them in the first time we ever made the playoffs. And then we beat them the second time we played them in the playoffs. And then that's kind of closed the book. And the Knicks haven't been in the playoffs since, really. So we haven't really got to play them much since. And the Nets are really, really maybe our main playoff rival. And I love that there's a respect there. And you know what, man? Every team has the opportunity to be dirty at different times. I know that Serge was dirty at times. I know that OG could be dirty at times. I mean, even this thing that happened with Steven Adams the other night with Memphis in that Memphis game when Precious got fouled out and all of a sudden we didn't have a center. I'm pretty sure Fred stuck Steven Adams in the eye on purpose just to have him get out of the game, because he saw that was going to be a huge problem with us having no center all of a sudden because he fouled out and Steven Adams still in the game. So I'll say that just as a Raptor fan. Like, I think Fred did that on the down low. He stuck him in the eye on purpose. The benches look really hungry, Kenrick, and they needed to, because I know Nick Nurse has lit a fire under their ass, told them we need more from you guys. We need more energy. We need you guys to come in, hit the ground running. And that's Chris Boucher has taken that to heart. And he's really, really going all out right now. And I love it. I love seeing him succeed. I love, his post-game conference was really, really interesting and funny to listen to him, how matter-of-fact he is about his problems and his struggles recently. He's like, I've been getting a lot of hate for this, but I've been trying and I don't care. I'm just going to keep doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and I know it's going to all work out, is basically what he said. And then the other thing in the press conference last night that was hilarious was, did you guys hear Pascal talk about his niece peeing all over him? Yeah, they said, well, why did you have such a good game today? He said, well, I was at my brother's house on Saturday, and I was holding my niece. She's so young and so little. I don't like to hold the baby because it's so fragile, and I just don't feel it. But I picked her up for one of the first times yesterday, and as soon as I picked her up, she peed all over me. She just pissed all over me. And they were trying to joke and say that was part of the reason why he had such a good game, that the child had anointed him. It made him it's so weird. Sometimes when you have superstition and stuff like that, I hope he doesn't have that child pee on him every time before the game now or something like that. And the whole thing with Fred VanVleet Jr. and the finals and stuff like that, these kids are involved in the superstitions for sure. And I love all the Fred VanVleet Instagram stuff with his daughter and his son. He's hilarious with his children. Like, he's doing little mini clips with, he was going to the game earlier this season, and his son's like, I want to come with you. He's like, no, you can't come with me. He's like, what? I want to come with you. He's like, well, you can come to the game in another day. And the kid's like, all right. It's hilarious. And he posted something yesterday of his daughter and saying, yeah, she's the real boss in the house. And she had this look on her face like, you don't mess with Fred's daughter, man. The kids are hilarious, man. Honestly, I love it. Tai T, oh, hey, Alex, quick though. Try get Yuta's tag into your title on one of your coming streams. Just see what kind of, yeah, you know what? I've done that actually a couple times. I've been experimenting with this, putting Yuta in the tags because there is a spike. I've done it a few times this season already, and there definitely is a Japanese spike in viewership. And I've even got a few Japanese comments when I do that. So yeah, I'll definitely do that some more when it's warranted with him being like more central and figured thing. I even did some clips before the season specifically just about Yuta, just to experiment with what you're talking about, Tai, because I think it is true. There's a huge following of his, obviously, in Japan, and they're voracious. They want to see content and hear things about Yuta. And I just love that this year he's finally getting to deliver more on a more important stage than last year, and he's having more success because, like, you know, you can tell the enthusiasm from coming from Japan and that energy through the journalists that are asking questions. Akiko and Takashi, these people are asking really good questions after the game stuff. I even put the translate on and try and listen and understand what they're asking and talking about what's important to them. And it's weird because YouTube auto translate is sometimes really funny because they'll put in a weird word or they'll translate it really funny and it doesn't totally make some sense. But a lot of it has to do with how he feels and if he feels strong and how did he feel when the coach had trust in him and things like that. And of course, he says the word aggressive a lot. It's almost like a bingo game. You have to hear Yuta say the word aggressive at some point in his press conference. He's going to definitely say it. Pascal is better than ever. In some ways, he really is, Alistair. Like, he's honing his craft. He's a craftsman of fine woodworking, and then he's really making his play and his game a different kind of level. It's like he's got to see the different kinds of ways. Sure, you can be a good scorer and just score unconsciously and just try and score. But when you try and become a scorer that fits in with other guys scoring and allowing for other guys to do things around you at the same time, and you're seeing that at a different speed than the rest of the court, and you're able to pass and facilitate other players around you in a better way, that's like Magic Johnson, Larry Bird kind of level perception. And I see a little bit of it happening with Pascal right now, especially with the synergy with him and Scotty, because there's like a lot of touch passing and quick passing that's going on between these two guys that are opening up really great quick offensive shots in different places for either one of them off of each other. And this is just the beginning. Like, these guys have a natural fit. We were worried that these two weren't going to be able to go together on this team, but no, they go together really well. Honestly, they really do. You can tell in the last couple games that Scotty and Pascal have a great synergy and that they're going to be able to coexist really well on this team. In fact, they're going to make each other so much better. I think that part of what may push Pascal up and over more is Scotty being there and allowing him to get maybe things like his assist numbers up. Things like that are going to start happening more with our more established guys that are already on the team. They're going to have better assists because there's a better player next to them that's doing stuff along with OG and stuff like that. I'm really excited. All the signs are pointing to the things that I was hoping were going to happen this season finally happening now. The first month was tough because there was a lot of figuring it out. But now we're starting to really figure it out and build on top of it. And the other great thing is we get 2 more days of practice off. We're off today, we're off tomorrow, and then we get Wednesday against a kind of a light team, a team that's a real, not a pushover, but somebody that'll be easier than just most NBA teams. And that means that we can really, really hammer home these defensive schemes and defensive things that they did yesterday, even more so in the next 2 days, because they're going to have the tape of the successful rotations, the successful stuff. I'm going to say, you keep doing this, and keep doing this. And Nick was saying in the press conference after the game last night that the players were really communicating on a very specific, like really quick decision-making, like Scotty and Precious and different things on the screens and how to switch with the players. And they were making all the right decisions. And those are decisions that you have to make like that really quick, like switching, and they don't do the switches exactly the same every time. It depends on who the player is and what's happening with the switch, with the matchup and stuff like that. Tai T, I agree. P and Scotty B chemistry. Been so surprised that the narrative has been the opposite. They're still less than 10 games in together and building the chemistry on the fly. Yeah. I mean, this is such a new collection of players together with us. It's not even like last year. Like some of the guys are holdovers from last year, like Yuta, Gary, and Kem. But it's because of Precious, Scotty, and Delano, and those guys. There really is a whole new collective, and to be able to understand how good or how much we're going to get better is we have no idea. We really don't. That's why I think the sky's the limit. If we're already able to win games now, just imagine when we really get our shit together. Like when we really, really get to know each other's second nature and we're making plays like that. And we're really taking, like, we recognize when we have the mismatches and the opportunities to really capitalize, and we're cutthroat about it. Like we see, oh, well, Scotty's got that right there, right to him. Boom, it's a basket. Oh, Pascal's got this right here. That guy can't keep up with him. He'd go right around him. I mean, I was telling my lady last night during the game, was like Pascal can either go around a guy with quickness or he can shoot over a guy because he's taller. It's like, these are the things that they've got to look at. Scotty's got to look at with size and quickness also. Because like when Scotty has the ball at the top of the key, he's nasty because he could shoot the three. He could go around the guy and drive and dunk it. He did that last night at one point. And he could back somebody down and do a post. Like we have no idea how good offensively Scotty's going to be. Like this guy's going to be averaging 30 points if he wants to. But it's like what we need when we need it. I want to see it like at some point. When is Scotty going to get like a 50-point game in his career? He's going to get one in this first 3 years in the league. I really believe it. He'll get a 50-point game in his first 3 seasons in the NBA. I really believe Scotty will, because he has so many different weapons and people just can't stop him. All right, guys, I went an hour and 15 minutes. When it's a good win like this, we want to talk about it. I mean, there's a whole bunch of y'all in here, and I love it. It's just going to be fun, guys. It's going to get better again because, like, things were really rough in the last month at different times. People were down on the team, and, we kind of sloughed off people. They're kind of flaky fans. They're not going to pay attention right now. They won't realize there's going to be a lot of fun stuff to see right now. And we'll get to enjoy it because we're the diehards. We stuck with them. We're the real ones. All right. Like, comment, subscribe, share if you want, somewhere if you want. I really appreciate everybody being with me here on a Monday morning so early, 8 a.m. Remember, the G League is playing in like 2 hours, less than 2 hours at the Scotiabank Arena. 9:05 is playing Capital City Go-Go. It's going to be Delano Banton out there with David Johnson, Isaac Bonga, Justin Champagny, maybe even Malachi Flynn. I don't know if Malachi Flynn's playing for them today, but maybe. But, yeah, highly check it out. Recommend checking it out if you got the time today, you're not at work and you want to watch some more Raptors basketball. All right, Ty T. Yeah, man, we're nowhere near a ceiling, especially on D. People don't get how many schemes Nick has. He even talked about having to run pretty basic during the championship season after was lockdown. Yeah. It's gonna be nasty. All right, guys, let's go Raptors Nation. We got Oklahoma City on Wednesday. Let's go and put some thunder on the Thunder because, listen, man, they don't even have their Canadian kid right now. We'll see if he's ready to play on Wednesday. But we're going to be ready to play on Wednesday because we got 2 days of practice. And, boy, oh, boy, the practice just makes us look better and better because this is the thing. We're making the most of this practice time, and we're seeing the fruits of it already on the court right away after these great practices and stuff like that. So let's see where they're at after 2 more days of really, really fortifying and instilling the principles of our great defense. It's going to be even better on Wednesday. All right, everybody have a great week this week. Let's get off to the right foot on this Monday, and happy holidays to everyone who celebrates whatever they celebrate this month. And just once again, I always say, have gratitude in your life. Look at the good things in your life, because when we look at the good things, they just add up. When you look at the bad things, they add up. So which way do you want to go? Let's look at the good things, baby. Oh, yeah. Let's go, Raptors. Thanks, Ty T. All the best, guys. Yoo-hoo, Raptors.